It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and now my favorite part of the show, where I try to guess what is in Tim's background. I mean, other than bad education, whatever that led him to be a tinfoil hat. But I'm going to say it's a blurry picture of Marla Maples, and we're going to guess whether she's our type. Am I right about that, Tim?
You are very wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna probably have to tell you what this is.
Oh, let's see. It was some kind of building. Oh, it's a school.
Yep.
What something Lake High School? I can't read the whole thing.
Hidden Lakes Academy in DeLonga, Georgia.
In DeLonga, Georgia. Is that where there was Jim Crow 3.0 and people weren't allowed to vote?
No, it was Harlan Crow.
Oh, really?
That's a school. That's a school where Harlan sent Clarence Thomas's foster child.
Right. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later. I mean, it's good to see some people on Thomas's side here because I mean it was all one-sided before, but and of course, I mean the double standard is unbelievable. Somebody was even saying that they'd be willing to sacrifice Sotomayor because she's got conflicts all up and down, and they'd be willing to sacrifice her.
She took $3 million from HarperCollins Books while HarperCollins had cases in front of the court. So,
yeah, I mean, so there's that, right? So,
you've got two justices that have strong ties to Harvard. One of them so much that it recused itself.
Oh, okay.
I can't say her because she doesn't know what a woman is. So,
absolutely. And of course, RBG. I mean, the sainted RBG. I mean, didn't her husband's firm have cases before the court? It's just, it's ludicrous. And but we'll revisit that in a little bit. Meantime, at the top of the topic sheet right here, there's Joe Biden apparently was using a cheat sheet for his press conferences. Like he had the first question rigged. Remember there was a debate, I think in the Clinton, was it the Clinton one where the moderator gave Clinton the questions? I mean, can't these people answer questions?
Yeah, that was what was her name? Somebody from CNN.
Not
Christian Amanpour. Christian Amanpour.
Oh, Christian Amanpour. Yeah, right.
Gave Hillary all the questions that she was going to ask there in the debate.
Yeah. Or was it no? You know what it was? It was Donna Brazile.
Was it Donna Brazile? Could have been.
I think what Christine Amanpour did was she it was either her or somebody else. Her rendition of what happened in the Rose Garden was absolutely wrong, and Mitt Romney allowed her to get away with it. But hey, great debate gaffes of the past.
Didn't we do the Biden questions last week?
You know what? Now I'm having deja vu. Maybe we did. I don't know.
We did.
So
I think we did. I think we need to put your questions on cards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, but what would be so surprising about a known plagiarist resorting to that kind of thing as well? I mean, it would shock me if he didn't have the whole thing rigged. And he should have Hunter sleeping on a cot next to him and helping him with his answers. If
Hunter's in Arkansas. Did you see that? They actually got him to leave the White House. Got him to leave the White House basement.
Well, he did sleep in the same room with him in Ireland, which would led somebody to believe that they didn't trust Biden to be able to sleep alone. So that
I think Secret Service wanted them both locked in together.
Oh, okay.
For different reasons.
All right. So, now I know this story didn't happen the week before last, so it's almost current. But I mean, I just love that. Well, first off, this whole border patrol thing is kind of a mirage. These guys, what is it called? The chair force, where they're just administrators going down to the border. They're not really
no work, no
troops.
show jobs.
Yeah, right. They're not really troops. And we'll get to the ComEd case in a second, but and then of course we've got the Chicago story where there's like been a tenfold surge in so-called migrants coming here, and the police stations can't hold them. Well, first of all, why don't we just have the Chinese open up a police station, and they could take care of them. But I'd like to tell.
It's amazing. You could make yourself a sanctuary city. Next thing you know, people show up looking for sanctuary.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell Lori Lightfoot, if they come, you will build them for these people. But I think was it the New York mayor Adams made the point. It seems like Greg Abbott is sending all these people to cities run by black mayors. Well, sorry, that you're welcoming these people. But here's another problem. There's
a trivia question for you. Name a city, sanctuary city not run by a black mayor.
Yeah, there you go. So, it could have been Paul Vallis, because we still would have been a sanctuary city if Paul Vallis had just gotten a few thousand more votes. But these migrants apparently are given a choice of where they want to go. So it's not like they're automatically sent to Chicago and New York, but they get a choice. And apparently the Democrats don't like the choices that the undocumented
is Martha's Vineyard no longer on that
it's not run by a black person, so you can't go there, I guess. But yeah, and the whole immigration problem, I didn't even realize this, because I always thought one of the great answers to illegal immigration was that we'd have E-Verify. But apparently, correct me if I'm wrong about this, that GOP farmers don't want E-Verify. Apparently, they want their grapes of wrath people working for them. I mean, does that sound right to you? That the GOP there's a whole segment of the GOP that is giving us a hard time about clamping down on immigration.
Yeah, it's not just farmers. It's the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
It's because that involves restaurants and
right.
All these sorts of things where if you're not a citizen, you can work at McDonald's when you're 10.
Yeah, well, then of course there's the whole thing about all these kids that were working, because the Democrats are traditionally against child labor, but you got all these kids working at
well, you got to pay back
McDonald's.
The cartel somehow. They don't.
They
don't get you across that border for free, Bruce.
No, that's true. You got me on that one. So as we alluded to before, the people working for nothing or doing nothing. Next batter, Mike Madigan. After that ComEd 4 trial, were you surprised by the verdict? I wasn't following it every single day, but I mean,
to be honest,
funny.
I'm not following it at all. I don't even know. I don't even know if these were ComEd employees or government employees or both.
Well, they have lobbyists, and this Anne Giori or whatever is used to be the head of ComEd. But yeah, I mean, when you read it, some of the details, it sounds like, well, this is just business as usual. You gotta get some influence for the legislation, but apparently you can't hire people to do nothing. So
why?
I don't know.
Tell that to Chicago Teachers Union.
Yeah, right. It seems the Chicago way. So it was a little bit shocking to me.
Here's a trivia point.
Yeah.
Did you know that Bill Ayer's dad was once CEO for ComEd?
Yes, I actually did know that.
That's why Bill Ayers is teaching at University of Chicago rather than sitting in prison.
Or is he at University of Illinois, Chicago? I think is that where Bill Ayers is? I'm not sure. But I mean, Well, and you kind of have sympathy for Bill Ayers, because what do you do after your dad was like the head of a major utility? I mean, you got to go radical. There's no way
all these radicals, all these Antifa,
Oh
they
yeah.
all have upper middle class
No,
parents.
it reminds me very much of the literary critic Eric Auerbach, who wrote Mimesis, and it was all about. I think the first chapter of that is all about the difference between the Judeo-Christian view of life and the Greek view. The Greeks were very cyclical, and nobody expected Telemachus to be better than Odysseus, not at all. And you weren't supposed to be better than your father. But in the Judeo-Christian line, it's the father sets things up so that the kid can be better, and we stand on the shoulders of giants and things like that. So, I just blame our Judeo-Christian way of life for Bill Ayers, and so he's, as far as I'm concerned, he's got a pass for being a terrorist. So yeah, what a piece of
he's
crap.
a good terrorist, though.
Yeah, oh, right. What a good. I don't know. I mean, and all these guys, Bernadette Dorn, didn't she wind up as like a Northwestern law professor? Yeah, that's what we do.
That's what I think. That's what I think we should do with the terrorists of January 6th. I think they should all be punished with tenure.
There we go. Well, I guess the Proud Boys were found guilty of sedition. That's one I did not follow very much, but in any event, all right. You're not going to have another thing behind a different thing behind your visage next segment. So there goes all my fun for today. But when we come back, we're going to have Rhino versus MAGA. Oh yeah, the debate that everybody loves. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Donald Trump's accuser is back on the stand today, facing more intense cross-examination over her claim that Trump raped her in the Bergdorf Goodman department store dressing room nearly 3 decades ago. We believe you, Carol. Trump's attorney, Joe Tacopina, pointed out that she's accused other men of sexual assault in the past, but only brought a court case against Donald Trump. He also grilled Carol on her many media appearances and said that she never seemed to get emotional talking about the alleged encounter with Trump in Bergdorf's until she was on the witness stand. She cried in court, and that might have left a very powerful impression for the jury. They may have been moved by it, and he's trying to, it seems, call that into question. Tacopina also referred to a 2012 episode of Law & Order SVU about a man fantasizing about raping a woman at Bergdorf Goodman.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and yeah, we should have one of our debates right now.
Yeah.
Okay. It is time for Rhino versus MAGA, or MAGA versus Rhino. Well, is it a home game for me? I'm not really sure. So today's debate, the Trump rape trial. Actually, it's technically it's battery, because this isn't a criminal case; it's a civil case. But yeah, it's rape that's been alleged.
Oh, really? I was not aware. You cannot sue somebody for raping you.
Well, yeah, but for some reason it comes under the tort of battery. But yeah, you can. I mean, those are the facts that are being alleged. So, and of course, this has to go along on ideological grounds. It can't be a factual question. You've got to be, if you like Trump or you don't like Trump, that's how you view it. So we will let Tim begin so that I can give the James Jackson Kilpatrick rejoinder once he's done with the presentation of his case. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, first of all, I find it really interesting that you can't sue anyone under the charge of rape. I guess that's because in a tort case, only the attorneys are allowed to rape.
Like I say, the facts can be rape. I think it just comes under battery. It's just a designation. Go ahead.
Secondly, the big thing, and this is funny because I watch a Weekly World News with David Muir every single night.
Oh, okay.
Over dinner. It's a diet attempt. I'm hoping I can lose weight by having to watch David Muir while I eat. And
Okay.
Every single night they show that one thing. They show that picture. They say Trump said she's not my type, But yet, when showed a picture in Discovery, he pointed at her and said, "That looks like Marla Maples."
Right,
And
right.
and they every night, every single night, that same point. And all I can think is, well, if you're actually going to cheat on your wife, uh, why would you cheat on with someone that looks exactly like your wife?
There you go.
It seems to me you're going to go for a little variety. So, so my guess is Marla Maples at that point was not his type. So I don't see how that's damaging to the defendant in that instance. And finally,
Sure.
before you
Yeah.
filibuster the rest of the segment,
Yeah.
finally, I want to say I think something happened in that dressing room. I don't think that that might be out of bounds, but it seems to me it shouldn't take 30 years to figure out it was rape rather than voluntary. Her little 50 Shades of Gray moment where the rich man gave her some underwear, go in here and try them on, and then a second later, hey, honey, it also seems to me that she would know whether it was 30, 31, 32, maybe 29 years ago. It seems to me that she should be able to pinpoint it with a little more specificity.
Tim, you insolent slut. So the well, I note that a Manhattan jury has found that Ed Sheeran's hit "Thinking Out Loud" did not infringe on the copyright of the classic Marvin Gaye song "Let's Get It On." So we'll find out if a Manhattan jury next week doesn't believe that Ms. Carroll infringed on the copyright of Law and Order SUV with the idea of that story, since it was very similar to that. And whether Trump said "let's get it on" or not is another factual question. It's interesting that you mentioned that you did think that something happened in that dressing room. The problem is this isn't a consent case. This isn't a classic he said, she said. He's denying that he even knows her or ever met her.
Well, sure.
And one of the problems is that, and I wasn't in the courtroom, but I read some of the descriptions. She goes into detail on meeting him at Bergdorf Goodman, and and he says, "Oh, you're that advice lady" or something like that. I mean, even conversation, all this kind of stuff. There's all these little details which do resonate as if there was a meeting. Now, Trump could have admitted, "Oh yeah, that happened," but he isn't. He's saying, I've never met this woman in my life. So the problem is that is going to be in her favor. In addition, she did have a couple of people that she contemporaneously told about this. So it's not like it's from nowhere. But I admit, there are problems because, my big problem is the one fact that, I'm wrestling with is that she kept going back to Bergdorf Goodman like 23 times to shop. And I don't know if you'd go to shop at the place where you got raped. But the other thing.
Did she try it? Did she try on clothes? I think that would be the thing. Did she try on clothes while she was shopping?
Right. She wouldn't do.
I could see that she wouldn't. And yeah, I don't think she'd go into the dressing room again.
But the other things, they said that she admitted that she loved the show The Apprentice, but she qualified. She said she didn't like the part that Trump was doing. She liked the contestants, and she knew a couple of the contestants. So yeah, I think she had some answers for the cross-examination. But I mean, she was even asked. Apparently, CBS's boss Les Moonves, who was fired for sexual harassment, more than harassment, sexual assault, I think. Apparently, attacked her, and she never complained about him and wasn't suing him. And her answer for that was, well, he groped me, so that's different from rape. And secondly, he didn't grind her face in it by denying this. So part of this that she's coming forward, and she's also got the defamation case as well with this, that's twinned with this, is that Trump denied the whole thing. So she then sued. But yeah, I mean, there's problems with this.
Well, of course he's going to deny it, because in the era of Me Too, she wanted it is no longer a viable defense.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, the problem is, I mean, you could have made out a consent case. Possibly they were flirting with each other. They go up. What was this underwear that he was buying or something? I mean, so that's already has a sexual connotation. And I'm a celebrity. You're a celebrity. I think. I mean, the whole idea, this whole thing about who's my type. I mean, what's the type for a rapist? Seriously. I mean, come on, not my type. I mean, I love how brazen Trump is, because even at his deposition, he told the opposing attorney, "You're not my type either." So, I mean, and he says it matter of factly. So, I think Trump may be convicted for being a sleazebag, but we'll see. And in any event, right now it's a well-hung jury, I would say. And that is the end of Rhino versus MAGA for this week. Let's go to something else right now. So Tucker Carlson.
Well, at least the jury was well hung, because
there we go. I don't know. I thought I got the joke out, but
No, you did. I just wanted to say,
that's okay.
point out that according to Stormy Daniels, the defendant is not.
Yeah, there we go. So Tucker Carlson, there's been all these videos, and it sounds like Fox is leaking some of them to justify their dismissal of him. But, it's almost making me side with Tucker Carlson, and how much I don't like him. I mean, in one video, he's discussing his postmenopausal fans. And then in another, I guess he's talking about a woman he finds yummy. And of course, we talked last week about how he had used the C word to describe a woman or two in the C suites at Fox. These kinds of things, she was. I mean,
I haven't seen anything that would turn off a Tucker Carlson fan. That would actually
nothing.
Make it say,
well, nothing. I mean, Tucker Carlson fans like to be lied to. But here's the thing that I thought was it's tough. It's tough to justify this. He apparently texted a producer about how he was watching a video of people fighting on the street in Washington, and a group of Trump guys, this is a quote from him, surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living S out of him. It was 3 against 1 at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. Emphasis added there. And then he goes on from that. And I said, I mean, come on. I don't know how you justify saying that. That's apparently one of the reasons that they axed him, because he said that. He said, it's not how white men fight.
Did you go on to read the rest of the text?
Yeah, I did. And he did you read that as well? Did you read the rest of it, or do you want me to read it for you? Okay.
Yeah. I think it should be read, because
okay. So that right after he says that, he says, "Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him hard or kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. Then somewhere deep in my brain, an alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The Antifa creep is a human being. Much as I despise what he says and does, much as I'm sure I'd hate him personally if I knew him, I shouldn't gloat over his suffering. I should be bothered by it." And it goes on from there. Okay, yeah, he doesn't want the guy to be lynched, but the problem is
the fact that he said that in his head, that's not how white men fight. He despised that he said that. He went on to say, I
thought he just despised, that he wanted the Antifa guy beat.
Well, the whole thing,
up.
the whole.
You wanted the whole thing about even it's not how white men fight. That boy, you ought to be an attorney there, because that's not how I read that. But okay,
that's how I read. It's like Jesse Jackson crossing the street. And they go, oh my gosh, I'm thinking just like a white man.
Yeah, Tucker forever. Okay, yeah, I'm going to subscribe to his Rumble channel now. Yeah, no question about that. That would be like it was all a dream, including including that's not how white men fight. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So anyway, supposedly that was one of the things, but
when you cut it off right there, it makes him look. Yeah, it does make him look like a racist. But you got to read the whole thing.
That's why, and I did read the whole thing, and I still sounded. But like I say, I'm very interesting. You should put these observations to good use. Why don't you get a stand-up comedy routine? Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
So look good. though. I've been watching and looking around all night. Y'all look good. You dressed nice. You got the nice threads on. You got the jewelry glistening. Look like everybody got a little piece of that settlement money from Fox News. And that's all I have to say about that. Because I'm not going to have Dominion on my ass. I love Dominion. Matter of fact, let me just say right now, my favorite voting machine is Dominion voting machines. When I go to the polls, I make sure it is a Dominion machine that I use. If your election needs the truth, put Dominion in your booth.
Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Okay, so Chris, our producer, took the one funny thing from and congratulations to him from the White House Correspondent Center.
Well, actually, he skipped the tag, which happened further in the show. But Chris probably couldn't stomach as much of the much more than that. About 15 minutes later, he said, "Yeah, Fox isn't even the big one yet. Smartmatic, that's the big one. They're gonna go after double what Dominion got." And let me say right now, Smartmatic is my favorite voting machine. I always vote on a Smartmatic.
Yeah, no, hey, look, it's good to see anything that goes against the grain of just the fawning attitude towards Joe Biden. I mean,
yeah, it was really funny. It was really funny. There was later in the routine, he actually, I don't know how he made it funny, but he listed his accomplishments, and it was kind of student loans forgiven, Brittany Griner released.
yeah. Just read them out. There's no problem with that.
Finished his oatmeal this morning.
Yeah. The I wish that they give Biden the treatment that, say, Don Imus gave to Clinton. You remember? You remember that? Imus embarrassed him right in front of Hillary about his sexual proclivities. I couldn't look at it. It was so embarrassing. The Biden equivalent would be if this guy, who we just saw, was joking about how, Biden slandered the guy who got into the car accident with Biden's first wife, and Biden said the guy had drunk his lunch, but he wasn't really drunk, and the accident wasn't his fault. I don't know how you turn that into White House comedy Correspondent Center comedy gold, but that would have been on par with what Imus did to Clinton. I mean, they just let Biden skate on this. I mean, and which I understand it. They're Democrats. I get it.
Oh, that's what it was. That was I just remembered now that you said it. He said that he goes, he naps a lot. Joe Biden naps a lot, but boy, when he wakes up from his naps, he sure does stuff. It's free Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
That's how it went. It was like, it's like he naps and then he comes and does great things, but he couldn't come up with many great things that he did.
Yeah, right. Speaking of Brittany Griner, whom Joe Biden traded a Russian arms dealer for to secure her freedom, she said this past week that it should be a crime, not just some civil thing, a crime for states to prevent men from identifying as women and winning women's championships. And I'm thinking, since the country had to pay a big price for her to get home, shouldn't she just shut up and be grateful, like to all of us? This is a controversial matter at the very least. I would, if I had to be rescued from the Ruskies, I'd keep my mouth shut for the rest of my life.
It's I every time I see Brittany Griner, I can't believe she's not transgender.
Right. I mean, that's what a lot of people.
There's something going on there.
I understand the sympathy.
7 feet tall and got a deeper voice than I do.
Yeah.
It's I think either she's closeted transgender or maybe she was like Jamie Lee Curtis.
There we go. And I actually, that I actually interviewed Jamie Lee Curtis once and asked her.
Did you ask her about that?
I asked her, but I still got, strange looks from her because I asked her what it was like to have her mother murdered in Psycho. So, that I think that's just as tough. Anyway, well, I understand Brittany Griner's sympathy for transgenders, but I'm not saying that she is one. So, meantime,
that was such a horrible trade too. That arms dealer for I'll bet you Corn Pop got some really good baseball cards off of Joe.
Oh yeah, he had to. It reminds me when I was in second grade, I traded all my baseball cards for one Nellie Fox. It was a rare card, but I was kind of stupid then. But that was second grade. All right. So, what's Biden's excuse? So Randi Weingarten, it should be noted, a woman who is like the head of the National Teachers Union. I can't believe this. I actually found myself sympathizing with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was cross-examining her in Congress. And I mean, I don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she was basically trying to make the point that Weingarten really can't relate because she's doesn't have any children. And let's leave aside this whole Weingarten gaslighting the American public the last few days over whether the teachers wanted to keep the schools closed. She's, oh no, we didn't want to do that. Oh, okay, fine. But anyway, so Marjorie Taylor Greene really averred that Weingarten can't relate, and there was this hue and cry that, oh no, she's a mom, she's a stepmom, and Michael Steele blasted Marjorie Taylor Greene for implying that a stepmother isn't a real mom. He said Jesus had a stepdad. Who follow this if you can. Weingarten's ex-wife's children by a former husband. Those are the kids that she's the stepmother to. Do we want me to repeat that again? Weingarten's ex-wife's children by a former husband. I think I can follow an immaculate conception family tree a little bit easier than that.
Wow.
One.
That's more distant than Clarence Thomas's grandnephew.
Yeah, it's just that's really a stretch there. So so I mean, you find me sympathizing with Tucker this week.
So those are Randi Weingarten's kids and then she pulls the parent card on Marjorie Taylor.
Right.
Greene.
Right. That isn't gonna fly. Meantime, I was a little bit embarrassed this week because somebody tweeted that this was the 26th anniversary of the death of Mike Royko. And he died at age 64, it was 26 years ago. And I tweeted, if he had lived, he'd be dead by now. And Mike Royko's son tweeted back to me and said, you nailed it, Bruce. And I'm thinking, okay, oops. I mean, I give him credit. Sam Royko tweeted back to me, and oops, I didn't want him to really see that.
He was only 64. Wow.
Yeah, it was only 64. He lived a hard life. I mean,
he seemed so much older
right.
And now it's like, oh my gosh,
he wasn't all that old. Hey, let's go back.
His liver was ancient.
And then he tried to diet and everything like that, and he also went to the Tribune and moved to the suburbs. He tried to do that, and
right across the street from the Billy Goat. And I'm sure that contributed to his liver damage.
Right. But the thing about Royko was that he, in his later years, he was always for the little guy. Well, the little guy went from being the discriminated against minority to the guy who has a store who has to fill out all those equal opportunity employment forms or whatever and is getting harassed by the government. And I remember when Roger Ebert wrote one of the obituaries for Royko when he died, because it was a really big thing in Chicago. But you could tell that Ebert felt that Royko had lost his way. It was not a fulsome tribute to Mike Royko. And so that's when I started liking Royko. So, but So
Mr. on the red carpet every Oscars.
Excuse, yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, Roger Ebert. Yeah,
Roger Ebert,
yeah.
Mr.
Yeah,
Mr.
right.
Celebrity.
The common man. The common man.
He's not a little guy he wasn't a little guy by any
no
measure.
no. I knew him a little bit, so I liked him. And Gene Sisco.
Do we have another Bruce story? Do you have a story?
So many stories, but I stick to just ripping Don Lemon, and you notice I haven't done that this week at all. It's a Don Lemon free week. So
it's on CNN too.
Yeah, forever. So yeah, let's go back real quickly to Clarence Thomas here. I think we covered it, right at the beginning of the show. But I didn't realize that this whole house, supposedly they didn't report the sale of. He took a loss on that house. You may have even mentioned that a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it.
I said he might have. I speculated that.
Yeah, no, he took a loss on that house. No, as we mentioned,
didn't claim the deduction.
I don't know.
It should have showed up on his taxes if he claimed the deduction, right?
The thing that I was reading this piece about Thomas, I mean, he'd be an inspiration to everybody in the world if he only had the right views. that's all, because he wrote in his autobiography, he apparently was very much influenced by these nuns that that schooled him, and they make him pray when he didn't want to, and they believed in an equality that he couldn't see. And actually, wow, he was lucky. I mean, he had a hard scrabble existence. I mean, no dad around or anything like that, and impoverished. But in a way, he was lucky because he had these nuns, and so many of these people just do not have the nuns. They don't, and that can
that's why he got through the Judiciary Committee, because those nuns taught him how to fight like a white guy.
Exactly, Tucker. Yeah, he could. If he hadn't have fought, they would have hit him with that hickory stick right there in front of the Judiciary Committee.
Biden would have brought out the fire hoses.
Oh yeah, right. Absolutely, yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's good to see that people are coming to Clarence Thomas's defense, especially you, Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
It's kind of nervous on national TV, I know, but I wanted to ask, maybe you could be my girlfriend.
Well, Brad, I have to tell you, I'm a man.
I'll try anything once.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Yeah, Jerry Springer. I guess he died before our last show, but I actually, and I tweeted, if Ed Burke weren't alive, he'd be rolling over in his grave right now, given the praise for Jerry Springer by the Museum of Broadcast Communications, because Ed Burke actually had committee hearings to try to get Springer shut down because he wasn't try to get a TV show shut down in Chicago.
I wonder if Carol Marine and Ron Majors did a toast on his departure.
What was funny was I was always on Springer's side over the whole Ron Majors Carol Marine thing, because Springer, all he wanted to do was give some commentary, and these great First Amendment stalwarts, Ron Majors and Carol Marine, didn't even want to hear what he had to say. They were afraid that he'd come out, and hit somebody with a folding chair. Speaking of which, I hear that Geraldo is not going to be on the 5 anymore on Fox, and he's a guy used to referee people with folding chairs back in the day.
With Bongino gone, who needs a punching bag, huh?
Right. And this just came in while we were doing this, so maybe there'll be more news out of Fox, more leakage from Fox. Maybe
he's headed back to the vault.
Right. Or he texted at some point that this is not how a Jewish man who pretends to be Hispanic fights. But In any event, no, I just a quick thing about Jerry Springer was he actually did a great favor for me once. Did I mention this at all? I can't remember. I've told this story so many times.
I don't think you did.
Okay.
I don't think you did.
He says, when it's time now for What a Bruce's Stories. I'll try to make it real quick. But there was these celebrity boxing matches on Fox nationally and locally. We wanted to imitate that somehow. So the executive producer of the Fox morning show locally, and I was on that show, wanted me to box the traffic reporter who was a woman named Sheila White. So I figure I can't win because if I beat her up, I'm a demon, and if I lose, I don't never want to show my face again. So what I did is I wrote this mini musical, this little play. I even had a fight, a song to the Rocky theme. I can't fight Sheila White. She's a woman. It's not right. Anyway, so we actually had a boxing match between me and her, and Jerry Springer, this producer that I had, Jock Headblade, was.
So it actually went off.
We actually had we taped. We didn't. It was a theater. It wasn't actual boxing. But we were in a boxing ring. Jerry Springer was the referee. Okay, and she knocks me out during the boxing match. By the way, I was wearing my blue blazer and boxing shorts because I always had to wear my blue blazer on TV. So she knocks me out. And
that's how I do these Zoom shows.
Right, exactly. So while Jerry is counting me out, the real Jerry Springer is counting me out. We go into a dream sequence because I'm like Tucker. I'm dreaming about something right now, and when in the dream sequence, we're at the Jerry Springer studios. And we really were. We shot this in the Jerry Springer studios in front of his audience. He had a show to begin in about 10 minutes, but we had about 10 minutes to shoot this stuff. And we had Jerry having me sit there with Sheila White, the traffic reporter. And Jerry goes, Bruce, you have a confession to make to Sheila. And I said, Sheila, I want to confess, I've been boxing with another person. And she gives me a double take, like, oh, it's the worst thing in the world. From behind the curtain comes the Empire Carpet Man. He was the guy that I was boxing with.
Oh my gosh.
And he goes and he starts shadow boxing, and the actual Empire Carpet Man. And he starts shadow boxing, and he goes, Jerry, I could carpet your entire studio for $1,500 in 3 days, and then and then the entire audience sings 588-2300 Empire. So I mean, it was a great thing to do on a local yokel morning.
Do you
TV
have a copy
show.
Of that? That's wonderful.
It's got to be. It's somewhere. I haven't been able to find it. I'm sure man. Fox still has it, but so I always owed Jerry Springer for that. But I was in favor of him when I don't like prior restraint. That's Near versus Minnesota for you Supreme Court fans, and Ron Majors and Carol Marine. And Carol, I mean, I really loved working with her at Channel 5 later. I mean, yeah, Chris couldn't find a clip online. No, that it wouldn't exist there. But
boy, that's kind of like that unanswerable question, is how long have you been beating your traffic reporter?
Exactly. So I couldn't win on that. As a matter of fact, we did this so thoroughly that even though I sang this thing, that's a Rocky theme, we actually had Wayne Mesmer, who used to sing the anthem at the Chicago Stadium and at Cub games. He came in and dubbed over his voice over mine. We had everybody. It was really
man,
funny.
Siskel, Ebert, and Oprah, and you would have run the whole list of Chicago
right. We almost had every
and the Victory Auto Wreckers guy.
Yeah, sure.
That's
Gotta
all
love
you
those
needed.
guys too. So we were talking about the Springer clip before was about this guy confessing that he's a man. I see that what's going on with the U.S. Navy. What are they trying to do right now? Yeah.
Oh, they're actually recruiting with a drag queen. And my Marine buddy tells me that's nothing new for the Navy.
I mean, so that song "In the Navy" by the Village People was not a stretch.
It's the first time. Yeah, it's the first time that sailor's actually been in drag, not crossing the equator.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have been in the chorus dressed up like one of those gay Navy guys singing "There Ain't Nothing Like a Dame" in South Pacific. There ain't nothing like a dame. Oh, yeah, right. Sure. Okay. First of all, it's a South Pacific. You'll get whatever you can. Not everybody's going to get the Bally High girl. All right. Yeah. Okay. So moving right along here. Hey, speaking of shows, how do you like Mariah Carey being nominated for a Tony for Some Like It Hot, which I guess they turned into a musical? That's one of my, I love that movie, in the Billy Wilder movie.
I did not know. I knew that there was a play. I did not know it was Mariah Carey.
Yeah, I didn't know it either. And I don't know what any of the songs are. I mean, I like the songs that Marilyn Monroe sing.
Yeah, so she's probably doing the Marilyn Monroe.
I would think so, unless, you know what, in today's world, she could be doing the Jack Lemmon role, and Joey Brown kisses her at the end, and she says, "I'm really a man," and he says, "Nobody's perfect."
Welcome to Hamilton casting.
Right. Yes, you didn't happen to see, because you're the stand-up comedy expert here. You didn't happen to see this special by this Alex Borstein, who's you are watching Mrs. Maisel. And she's the one who plays Susie Meyerson, the squat little agent, the tough gal. Okay. She had a stand-up special that was on Amazon Prime. You didn't see it, did you?
I did not.
All right, so let me rip it for you, and then you could react to. I mean, she's also the voice of Lois on Family Guy.
Family Guy.
Yeah, and she's very talented. But this special, maybe it was 60 minutes. It felt like 90.
Oh wow.
She tried to do some things here, and it was very ideological. I mean, there was a lot of funny stuff in it. She's got some, obviously, as talent. Her timing is very good. But I mean, she did one bit about Hitler's maid, okay, trying to make a Holocaust thing funny, and she I granted, I think that's daring. But
I loved Hogan's Heroes. I loved the producers.
Well, the producers is one thing, because the producers, at least Springtime for Hitler, had kind of a tune, and it was funny, and seeing these guys goose stepping and like the Rockettes, that made sense. Her whole thing was about just cleaning up blood and vomit, and it wasn't, the tune wasn't very good, and it was like, yeah, leave that stuff to Mel Brooks.
Wow.
And then her closing number was about Christmas trees and how you get, and she's Jewish, but she gets when you get Christmas trees, basically these are trees that are dying in your house. Okay. And so, and she didn't think that's right or whatever. And she also talked about how Christian men, apparently on Christmas, they get their annual present from their wife, i.e., some sexual favor. I always thought that was a birthday thing, but maybe it is a Christmas.
No, that's thing. That's March 14th.
There you go.
March 14th, and it comes with a steak.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, Google it.
Okay.
I don't want to get into it on this family show.
No, but actually, what she does is.
But Valentine's Day is for women. March 14th is for men. It's an actual holiday.
But it wasn't Christmas. And I think she did it so that she could end the whole bit by saying, "Fa la 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 she oh." And the thing is that the thing is that's a pun that I came up with 40 years ago, and I'll bet a lot of other people have come up with it too. So I mean, she's doing this special. She also had some myths going on in it too. She said, complaining, it was all pro-abortion too, but she also said, in women, we get 70 cents on the dollar. I mean, we know that's a myth. That's a jerry-rigged statistic. And it was about as jerry-rigged as the one that she admitted making up, which was that 90% of kids wear superhero costumes on Halloween.
I hated myself, but I did a 70% bit.
Yeah.
Is that the only thing that Caitlyn Jenner cut off was 30% of her pay.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.